in Part C of House Report 117-125. For what purpose does the gentleman from Texas seek recognition?
I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 9, printed in Part C of House Report number 117-125, offered by Mr. Green of Texas.
Pursuant to House Resolution 667, the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Green, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and still I rise, and tonight I rise to express my gratitude to many persons who have caused us to have this opportunity. I'd like to thank Chairman Smith for his service and what he's done, Ranking Member Rogers, the members of the Rules Committee, the members of the VA Committee. And I rise to say that I do support the NDAA. I understand the need for a strong military. But I also rise tonight with an appeal for some compassion. Compassion and to a certain extent mercy for our veteran merchant Marines. I ask for this compassion because they didn't get some of the benefits that others did. Let me just read the words, if I may, of President Roosevelt. On June 22, 1944, these are his words when signing the GI Bill. I trust Congress will soon provide similar opportunities to members of the Merchant Marine who have risked their lives time and time again during World War for the welfare of our country. Congress did not provide the similar benefits for the Merchant Marines. And as a result of Congress not doing so, most people don't know that the Merchant Marines were denied benefits within the GI Bill, denied the stipend for the cost of living, books and supplies as it relates to education, denied tuition-free education, denied unemployment benefits, denied medical benefits, denied low-cost guaranteed loans, denied opportunities. So I appeal tonight for those who are still surviving, all of whom are in their 90s. I had the privilege of being with Mr. Charles Mills, 101 years young, still making the appeal for help for these veterans who literally won a lawsuit to have themselves declared as such. So I make the appeal for compassion for our Merchant Marines who had a very high casualty count during World War II. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves.
The gentleman reserves.
For what purpose is the gentleman from Illinois?
For what purpose does the gentleman from Illinois rise?
Speaker, I rise in opposition to the amendment.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The NDAA is one of the most important bills Congress passes annually. In fact, the past decade, the NDAA has been enacted every year. As such, the NDAA often becomes a grab bag for a variety of priorities. To protect the integrity of this process, I believe the NDAA should focus on strengthening the Department of Defense, its systems, its programs, and its personnel. This amendment would provide an unprecedented $25,000 one-time payment from the VA to World War II Merchant Marines. Therefore, we should not be discussing this proposal as part of the NDAA. I thank Representative Green for his advocacy on behalf of the Merchant Marines, and I support the Merchant Marines. But I'm also grateful for their bravery of these men who served during World War II. They faced danger, and some made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our country. That said, their service has been recognized. The GI Bill Improvement Act of 1977 provided a pathway to VA care benefits for civilian groups known as active duty designees who supported the armed forces in World War II. The Merchant Marines are considered active duty designees and as such receive veteran status and eligibility for VA benefits decades ago. However, this amendment carves out a new benefit for Merchant Marines unlike anything Congress has authorized in the past, not even for our most highly decorated veterans. You know, I've heard that Merchant Marines feel they were shortchanged because they did not receive the GI Bill benefits. However, this bill creates an inequity among other veterans and active duty designees by providing a thank you payment for Merchant Marines. Ultimately, this amendment unfairly singles out one group of service above another. I also have questions about how many Merchant Marines would be covered under this amendment and why 25,000 was deemed as the appropriate amount. Considering this bill under regular order before the House Committee of Veterans Affairs would allow us to ask those questions. It makes more sense to have it done that way. This is why I cannot support this amendment inclusion in the NDAA tonight, and I thank you, and with that, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Texas.
How much time, Madam Speaker, do I have?
2 minutes remain on both sides, sir.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, tuition benefits in today's dollars would be about $8,000. The stipend for the cost of living, books, and supplies would be about $1,200. The unemployment benefits, and I'm lowballing, would be about $16,000. The medical benefits, we can't measure. The loss of opportunities because of the loans that they could have received, we cannot measure. But we can do this. We can do what General Eisenhower asked us to do. We can do what President Roosevelt asked us to do and President Truman asked us to do. This is our opportunity, a unique moment in time to correct an injustice, and I appeal to you to do so.
Reserve or yield back?
I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from
Madam
Illinois.
Speaker, as I mentioned, this amendment would provide an unprecedented $25,000 one-time payment for VA World War II Merchant Marines. It did not go through regular order. It did not go through the Committee of Jurisdiction. This amendment should be placed in the committee that has jurisdiction to justify so that if not only this group but other groups would be able and should be able to receive benefits as this amendment requires, we would be able to do that. Madam Speaker, I support our Merchant Marines. I always have. My 20 years in the state legislature, I did just that. Matter of fact, at every veterans ceremony, I mentioned and brought up our Merchant Marines as our veterans. But that being said, this is not the way to handle this bill. I plead with the members of this body not to accept this. I am adamantly opposed. I would love to take it up in the committee, but not in this bill where it is not the proper place. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Texas.
And how much time do I have left, Madam Speaker?
1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, to take this through regular order at this time would mean that we would call on witnesses who have long since gone to glory. It would mean that many of those who live today would not live to see the day that the justice would be served that they richly deserve. So I make an appeal on behalf of those who have earned this compassion. They risked their lives for their country. Many of them died. This is our final opportunity for many of them. And I yield back the balance of my time.
Pursuant to House Resolution 667, the previous question is ordered on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Texas. The question is on the amendment. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the amendment is agreed to. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. Okay. It is now in order to consider amendment number 10, printed in Part C of House Report 117-125. For what purpose does the gentleman from Rhode Island seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will designate the amendment.